Hello, and welcome back to Let's Master English. I'm your host, Sarah, and I am so happy you are here with me today. Today, we are going to talk about something very, very important. It's not a grammar rule, it's not a list of vocabulary. It's something inside your mind that can stop your progress. It is a powerful enemy of your English fluency. What is this enemy? Perfectionism. Does this sound like you? You are in a conversation, you want to say something, you have a great idea. You open your mouth to speak, but then you stop. You think, wait, is my grammar correct? What if I use the wrong word? What if my pronunciation is bad? They will think my English is terrible. And so you stay silent. The moment passes, the conversation moves on, and you feel frustrated. You feel disappointed in yourself. If this has ever happened to you, I want you to know something. You are not alone. Millions of English learners around the world feel this same fear. It is the fear of not being perfect. Today, we are going to fight that fear. We're going to learn why trying to be perfect is actually stopping you from becoming fluent. And I will give you many practical, easy-to-use tips and tricks to help you speak more freely, more confidently, and more often. So, take a deep breath, relax. Let's talk about why it's time to stop being a perfectionist in English speaking. Part 1. What is perfectionism and why is it a problem? First, let's be clear about what we are talking about. What is perfectionism in language learning? Perfectionism is the belief that you must speak English without any mistakes. It's the voice in your head that says, if you cannot say it perfectly, don't say it at all. A perfectionist learner often spends a lot of time planning a sentence in their head before they speak. They check the grammar, they search for the perfect vocabulary word, and they worry about the pronunciation. This sounds good, right? Wanting to be correct is a good thing. But perfectionism is different. It's not about wanting to improve, it's about being terrified of being imperfect. And this is a very big problem for a few key reasons. 1. Perfectionism creates silence. The biggest problem is that perfectionism makes you quiet. Language is a skill, and like any skill, playing the piano, riding a bicycle, or cooking, you need to practice it. Speaking is how you practice your English. If you are too afraid to speak because you might make a mistake, you are not practicing. If you are not practicing, you are not improving. It's a trap. You want to be perfect, so you don't speak, but because you don't speak, you can't get the practice you need to get better. 2. Perfectionism creates anxiety. Worrying about every little mistake is stressful. It makes speaking English a negative and scary experience. Your brain starts to connect speaking English with feelings of fear and anxiety, so you avoid it even more. Learning a language should be an exciting journey, a way to connect with new people and new cultures. Perfectionism turns this beautiful journey into a stressful test where you are always afraid of failing. 3. Perfectionism focuses on the wrong goal. What is the main purpose of language? It is communication. It is about sharing ideas, feelings, and information with another person. It's not about having perfect grammar. Think about it. If I say, yesterday I go to shop and buy apple, is my grammar perfect? No. The correct grammar is, yesterday I went to the shop and bought an apple. But did you understand my message? Yes, of course, you understood me perfectly. Communication happened. Perfectionists forget this. They focus so much on being grammatically correct that they forget the real goal, to connect and be understood. The wonderful researcher and author Brené Brown wrote a book called The Gifts of Imperfection. In it, she says, perfectionism is a 20-ton shield that we lug around thinking it will protect us, when in fact, it's the thing that's really preventing us from taking flight. Think about that image, a giant, heavy shield. You think it's protecting you from judgment and embarrassment. But really, it's so heavy that you cannot move. You cannot fly. You cannot be free. This is exactly what perfectionism does to your English speaking. It is time to put down the shield. Part 2. The big mindset shift. Progress, not perfection. So, how do we put down this heavy shield? It starts with changing how you think. We need a mindset shift. We need to move away from the idea of perfection and move toward the idea of progress. Your new mantra, your new special phrase should be progress, not perfection. Say it with me. Progress, not perfection. This means that your goal is not to speak perfectly today. Your goal is to speak a little better than you did yesterday. Your goal is to be 1% better. The author, James Clear, wrote a very famous book called Atomic Habits. He talks about the power of small improvements. He says, if you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. 37 times better! Isn't that amazing? This doesn't happen by trying to be perfect in 1 day. It happens by making small, consistent efforts. It happens by making small mistakes and learning from them every single day. Let's think about a baby learning to walk. Does the baby stand up and walk perfectly on the first try? No. The baby falls down 100 times, maybe 1,000 times. Does the baby feel embarrassed? Does the baby think, oh no, my walking is not perfect. I should just crawl forever? Of course not. The baby understands instinctively that falling is part of the process. Every time the baby falls, its muscles get a little stronger, its balance gets a little better. Falling is not failure. It is practice. It is progress. You need to become like that baby. You need to see your English mistakes as falling down. It is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that you are trying. It is a sign that your English muscles are growing stronger. This idea is what the psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset. In her book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, she explains that people with a fixed mindset believe their abilities are static. They think, I am good at English, or I am bad at English. But people with a growth mindset believe their abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. When you have a growth mindset, a mistake is not a disaster. It is an opportunity. It is information. If you make a grammar mistake, it just tells you, okay, this is an area I need to study a little more. That's it. It says nothing about you as a person. It says nothing about your potential. So the first and most important step is to change your mind. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. Give yourself permission to be a learner. Celebrate the effort, not just the perfect result.
Part 3. Practical strategies to speak imperfectly and proudly. Okay, Sarah, I understand. I need to change my mindset. But how? When I am in a real conversation, the fear still comes. I hear you. Changing your mindset is the first step, but we also need practical tools and strategies to use in the real world. So here are some of my favorite tips and tricks to help you overcome your speaking perfectionism. Let's call this your anti-perfectionism toolkit. Tool number 1, the goal of good enough. Before you enter a conversation, change your goal. Your goal is not to speak perfect English. That goal is impossible and will only create stress. Your new goal is to communicate my idea, or to have a good enough conversation. What does good enough mean? It means the other person understood you, and you understood them. That's it. That is a successful conversation. Maybe you used a simple word instead of a fancy one. Maybe your grammar was 80% correct, not 100%. It doesn't matter. If communication happened, you succeeded. Let's look at an example. Imagine you want to tell a friend about your weekend. Perfectionist brain, this past weekend, I made the decision to visit a rather charming seaside town. The meteorological conditions were exceptionally favorable, which permitted me to engage in a lengthy ambulation along the coastline. This is complicated and stressful to create in your head. Good enough, brain. This weekend, I went to a nice town by the sea. The weather was great, so I took a long walk on the beach. Which one is better? The second one. It's clear, it's direct, and it communicates the message perfectly. It is good enough, and good enough is fantastic. Tool number 2, the power of starter phrases. Perfectionists often feel panic because they need time to think and form the perfect sentence. So give yourself that time. You can do this by using starter phrases or conversation fillers. These are small phrases that you can use to begin speaking while your brain is catching up. They signal to the other person that you are going to speak, and they give you a few precious seconds to think. Memorize some of these. Practice them until they are automatic. That's an interesting question. Well, in my opinion, let me think for a moment. From my point of view, I see what you mean. I think that's a good point. I would add that, actually, I was just thinking about that. When someone asks you a question, instead of panicking and staying silent, you can use one of these phrases. For example, question, what do you think about remote work? Your response, well, that's an interesting question. I think it has some good things and some bad things. For example, see, that little phrase at the beginning gives you space to breathe and organize your thoughts. It's a simple trick, but it is incredibly powerful. Tool number 3, the one thing rule. Another problem for perfectionists is that they try to fix everything at once. They worry about grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, speed, and accent all at the same time. This is overwhelming. Instead, use the one thing rule. For 1 week, decide to focus on improving just one small thing in your speaking. Just one. Maybe this week, your one thing is using the past simple tense correctly.
Don't worry so much about other grammar mistakes. Just focus on the past simple. Maybe next week, your one thing is your pronunciation of the th sound, like in three, think, that. Maybe the week after, your one thing is trying to use 3 new vocabulary words you learned. By focusing on just one small thing, you make improvement feel manageable and less scary. You are still practicing all your English, but your conscious mind is only focused on one small, achievable goal. This is how you build skills, one block at a time. Tool number 4. Find a safe speaking environment. You need a place where you feel comfortable making mistakes. For many people, a high-pressure business meeting or a formal classroom is not that place. You need to create or find a safe space for your imperfect English. Language exchange partner. Find a partner on an app like HelloTalk or Tandem. The best partner is someone who is also learning a language. They understand your struggle. You can make an agreement. Let's help each other and not judge each other's mistakes. You can correct each other gently, or you can just focus on conversation. A friendly tutor. Find a tutor on a platform like italki or Preply. When you start with a new tutor, tell them your goal. You can say, I am very nervous about making mistakes. For our first few lessons, can we please just focus on conversation and fluency? We can worry about grammar correction later. A good tutor will understand and create a supportive environment for you. An online community. There are many groups on social media or Discord for English learners. Find one that is friendly and supportive. You can practice by leaving voice messages for other learners. This is great practice because it is speaking, but it's not face-to-face, which can feel less stressful. Tool number 5. Talk to yourself. This might sound strange, but it is one of the most effective ways to overcome perfectionism. Why? Because when you talk to yourself, there is zero pressure. There is no one to judge you. You can make 1,000,000 mistakes and it doesn't matter. How do you do it? Narrate your day. When you are making coffee, describe what you are doing. Okay, now I am getting the coffee from the cupboard. I am putting it in the machine. I need to add some water. I hope this coffee is good today. Describe your surroundings. Look out your window and describe what you see. I can see a tall tree. The leaves are green. There is a small red car parked on the street. A woman is walking her dog. Plan your day out loud. After I finish my breakfast, I need to go to the post office. Then I will come home and answer some emails. Maybe I will watch a movie tonight. Doing this for 5 to 10 minutes every day builds fluency. It makes the words and sentences come out of your mouth more easily and more automatically. It's like a warm-up for your speaking muscles, without any of the fear. Part 4. Stories from around the world. I want to share a few stories of students I have worked with. These are real stories of people who fought against perfectionism and won. Meet Javier from Spain. Javier is a software engineer. He is very intelligent and his technical English, reading and writing, was excellent. But in online meetings with his team in the USA, he was almost always silent. He told me, Sarah, my brain is full of ideas, but my mouth is frozen. I am so afraid I will sound stupid compared to my American colleagues. Our plan for Javier was simple. we used tool number 2, starter phrases. His only goal for the next 2 weeks was to say one thing in every meeting using a starter phrase. He didn't have to say a brilliant, perfect idea. He just had to speak. In his first meeting, a colleague suggested an idea. Javier's heart was beating fast, but he remembered his mission. He unmuted his microphone and said, "That's a good point, John. I agree." That was it. That's all he said. But for Javier, it was a huge victory. He had broken his silence. The next week, he said, "Let me think for a moment. Yes, I think that could work." Little by little, he built his confidence. He realized that his colleagues didn't care about his grammar. They cared about his ideas. Today, Javier is an active, confident participant in his meetings. He still makes mistakes, but he is no longer silent. Doing this for 5 to 10 minutes every day builds fluency. It makes the words and sentences come out of your mouth more easily and more automatically. It's like a warm-up for your speaking muscles, without any of the fear. Part 4. Stories from around the world. I want to share a few stories of students I have worked with. These are real stories of people who fought against perfectionism and won. Meet Javier from Spain. Javier is a software engineer. He is very intelligent, and his technical English, reading and writing, was excellent. But in online meetings with his team in the USA, he was almost always silent. He told me, "Sarah, my brain is full of ideas, but my mouth is frozen. I am so afraid I will sound stupid compared to my American colleagues." Our plan for Javier was simple. We used tool number 2, starter phrases. His only goal for the next 2 weeks was to say one thing in every meeting using a starter phrase. He didn't have to say a brilliant, perfect idea. He just had to speak. In his first meeting, a colleague suggested an idea. Javier's heart was beating fast, but he remembered his mission. He unmuted his microphone and said, "That's a good point, John. I agree." That was it. That's all he said. But for Javier, it was a huge victory. He had broken his silence. The next week, he said, "Let me think for a moment. Yes, I think that could work." Little by little, he built his confidence. He realized that his colleagues didn't care about his grammar. They cared about his ideas. Today, Javier is an active, confident participant in his meetings. He still makes mistakes, but he is no longer silent. Now, let's meet Yuna from South Korea. Yuna's perfectionism came from her school experience. In school, her teachers corrected every single mistake in red pen. This taught her that mistakes were bad. She wanted to make friends with travelers in Seoul, but she was too shy to start conversations. Yuna used tool number 5, talking to herself. She loves hiking in the mountains near her city, so she started using her hiking time as her private English speaking time. She would describe the trees, the flowers, the path. She would pretend she was a tour guide. At first, she felt silly, but soon it became a fun game. This practice made speaking feel more natural. The words started to come more easily. One day, on her hike, she saw a group of foreign tourists looking at a map. They looked lost. The old Yuna would have walked past them, too afraid to speak. But the new Yuna, with all her practice, felt a little bit of confidence. She walked over and said, "Hello, are you lost? Maybe I can help you." Her grammar wasn't perfect, her accent wasn't perfect, but she communicated, she helped them find their way, and they had a wonderful 10-minute conversation. She came home that day feeling like she was on top of the world. Her private practice had prepared her for a real-world connection. These stories show us that it doesn't matter where you are from or why you are a perfectionist. These strategies work. You don't need to be a different person. You just need a different plan.
Part 5. Be your own best friend. There is one last idea I want to share with you, and it might be the most important one of all. You must learn to be kind to yourself. Often we are our own worst critics. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to a friend. If your friend was learning to play the guitar and made a mistake, would you say, "You are terrible. You should stop playing forever"? No, you would say, "That's okay. It was just a small mistake. Try again. You're doing great." You need to become that supportive friend to yourself. This is often called self-compassion. Dr. Kristen Neff is a leading researcher on this topic. She teaches that self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness and care you'd give to a good friend. When you make a mistake in English, what does your inner voice say? Is it critical and mean, or is it kind and encouraging? Try this exercise. The next time you make a mistake while speaking and you feel that familiar shame or frustration, I want you to pause, take a breath, and then say this to yourself, in your head or even out loud. Okay, that was a mistake, but it's okay. Everyone who learns a language makes mistakes. This is how I learn. I am proud of myself for trying. This is not a silly trick. It is a powerful way to retrain your brain. You are changing your relationship with mistakes. You are moving from a place of fear to a place of kindness and resilience. Remember, your English learning journey is a marathon, not a sprint. A kind and encouraging attitude is the fuel that will keep you going for the long run. Conclusion. Your mission, should you choose to accept it. All right, we have covered a lot today. We learned that perfectionism is a heavy shield that stops you from being fluent. We learned that the goal is progress, not perfection. We filled our anti-perfectionism toolkit with powerful strategies like using starter phrases, focusing on the one thing rule, and finding a safe place to practice. We heard inspiring stories from Javier and Yuna, and we learned the importance of being kind to ourselves. Now it's your turn. Knowledge is great, but action is what creates change. So I have a mission for you this week, a challenge. Your mission this week is to have one beautifully imperfect English conversation. That's it, just one. It can be for 2 minutes, it can be for 5 minutes. It can be with a language partner, a tutor, a shopkeeper, or a tourist. During this one conversation, your only goal is to communicate. Your goal is to not worry about mistakes. When you notice a mistake, just let it go and keep talking. Embrace good enough. After the conversation is over, I don't want you to analyze your errors. I want you to congratulate yourself. I want you to say, "I did it. I faced my fear. I spoke. I practiced. I made progress today." Because that is the truth. The bravest thing you can do as a language learner is not to speak perfectly. The bravest thing you can do is to speak, period. Your voice is important. Your ideas are valuable. The world is waiting to hear them. Don't let the ghost of perfectionism keep you silent for one more day. Thank you so much for joining me on Let's Master English today.
I am your host, Sarah, and I am already so proud of you for taking the step. Go out there and have your beautifully imperfect conversations. I'll be here cheering for you. Until next time, keep learning, keep practicing, and be kind to yourself.